I find a V Schwab that I actually like? Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today I have a new review coming your way. Also, I am so frightfully pale. Oh my god. Today I have a new review for you. If you don't know, every month I tell you what books are coming out, and every month you vote which ones you want me to review. And this month, Gallant won. So Gallant by V. Schwab is a brand new release that just came out in March, 1st of March, I think. Newest release for Victoria Schwab, who's a very, very popular author. I have had mixed results with V. Schwab, so here I am to tell you about this newest adventure. There will be timestamps for all of the thoughts, feelings sections, all of that, so you can skip around if you want to, but let me give you a bit of a synopsis. So this is Victoria Schwab's newest YA horror novel. We're gonna talk about that later. In this book, we follow Olivia, who's grown up in an orphanage, or like a finishing school for girls, and she is mute, so she cannot speak, but she's not deaf, she can hear, and she's grown up feeling very lonely, very out of place, and she's always only had her mother's journal to kind of give her any kind of indication of what her family history might be. One day there's a letter that comes that invites Olivia to come join her uncle and her family in Gallant, which is their family estate, and the letter says that the uncle's been searching for her for a really long time, sent these kinds of letters all around the country in order to find her, and he's saying that the family wants her back, so can she please come back. So I wanted to start off saying that I have read, this is my third V. Schwab book now, read Near Witch. Didn't think it was very good, nothing special there to hook me. And read Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It was alright. I thought they had a lot of missed potential, but the writing was beautiful. And then I DNF'd Darker Shade of Magic. I don't know, it wasn't gelling with me, I wasn't in the mood, so I just put it down. Now this book, I actually think it's a good book, but I think it's really mismarketed. It's positioned really poorly, and if it was not Victoria Schwab's book, this would be a real big problem, and I'm gonna break down for you why. There's several places where I think this book's marketing / positioning was just so off. So first of all, the book says it's YA. The main character is 14 years old. She acts like a 14-year-old. All the themes are very, like, they're wholesome and all that, but they're pretty juvenile, or at least the handling of them. I mean, maybe not juvenile. They are important themes that are important to talk about at all ages, but I just think the execution of the concepts and all of that was more middle grade. And the whole book, I just think it should be a middle grade. It feels very, very young for YA. The protagonists, how they behave, the type of language used, like the writing of it, nothing told me it was a YA. I was confused reading this. I thought, is this a middle grade? Then I went, saw someone's review, and they said, first of all, this book is no YA, it's a middle grade. And that clicked for me. I was like, yes, this feels like a middle grade. It would have been great. Just market it as a middle grade, not a YA, if it fits that better. I know YA is also such a contagious topic, so maybe here you could argue with me saying that actually YA is from 14 or like 12 or whatever, and it can fall on the younger side, and the YA that we usually get, it's actually aged up for people who are adults that read YA. All of those very valid, but I think you have to read the market a little bit, and if you feel that your book doesn't fall into current kind of trends and would actually sit maybe better in a younger category, I think this would have really hurt the book if it wasn't by V. Schwab. And the same thing goes for the next point. This is a horror. It's not horror. It's a horror if it's a middle grade. If it's not a middle grade, this is not horror. I would say even most of it wasn't even unsettling. And that's what I mean. If this was a middle grade horror, pass with flying colors, great. Like, the children can only handle a certain level. You don't want to have gore or anything like that in your horror, and they would just see, you know, tension building, all of that differently. Fair enough, but it's not. It's a YA horror. The least horror of YA horrors I've ever read. I don't understand what about it was horror if it was a YA novel. And why I think this would be a bigger issue if this wasn't a V. Schwab's book is because people will pick up anything she writes, and then not most people, but there are people that will read it and say it's good no matter what because they just love V. Schwab so much. And that's fair enough. You have your favorite author, and I think even people are more likely to give it a shot and be a bit more benevolent with it, even if this is their first V. Schwab, because it's such a hyped author, everyone respects her and all of that. But if this was like a non-well-known author and the book was this mismarketed, misplaced, I feel like people would be really mad. They would be really concerned with the fact that this is not what they signed up for. And this is why you market and place your book within the industry properly, so that people who are interested in that thing can find it and enjoy it. Because I think unmet expectations can be really, really, really bad, because someone can be like, this book was good, but it's completely not what I wanted, not what I was sold on, and therefore I don't think it's that good. And this kind of brings me to the last point where I think that was really badly handled when it comes to marketing. The synopsis tells you way too much. Way too much. So in the synopsis, I'm telling you because it's in the synopsis, so I guess it's not a spoiler. The synopsis tells you that when she gets to Gallant, this house, she finds her family, but she also finds this like shadow version of Gallant that's like this parallel universe, and something's off about that. That doesn't happen till 50% into the book, or maybe like 55. Why is that in the synopsis? This could have been a fun thing we found out with the character, and therefore we're more intrigued. We're more into the story from the get-go because you don't know where this is going. Like, yeah, the house is super weird and everyone's super cagey and doesn't want to talk about it. And you're like there with the character trying to find out what's up and what's happening. That's interesting. Why would you tell me that the parallel thingy in the synopsis? And like, I guess even if you look at the cover, there's like two houses, so you could infer from that. But like, that's one thing. Synopsis plainly telling you what happens 50% into the book either means that your book is boring up to that point, or someone just did a really bad job writing the synopsis. Because if you have to reach all the way 50% into your book to get an interesting plot point, that means the book is not good. And I do think this book is good. I did enjoy it. I feel like I'm shitting on it. I'm just saying it was mismarketed. It wasn't done properly. I don't think it's gonna hurt this book much because it's V. Schwab, but if it was anyone else, I'd be concerned for the book, because I think people would be disappointed because they picked up something they didn't want to pick up. So I don't know, let me know. Do you agree with me? Even if you didn't read the book, does it sound like I'm making some valid points? Can you see where I'm going with this whole it's mismarketed, therefore it could hurt the book, but it's probably not gonna because it's V. Schwab? Let me know. But yeah, I really hate it. It's same like trailers that tell you the whole movie and you're like, well, why do I even need to be there and watch the movie if you're gonna tell me the whole thing in the trailer? So, I think turn down those synopses. I think the best synopsis is a very short, snappy one that intrigues you, doesn't tell you too much, and still leaves you wanting. I don't want to be reading a book and halfway in, I'm like, oh wait, we're still in the synopsis. Okay, now with that rant over, let me actually get into the book and what I thought about the book itself. So let's start off with plot. It's very slow moving. I didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed the slow nature of it, and I thought it was okay. And despite the fact that the book is really slow paced and really slow moving and doesn't really kick off till halfway through, I would say that it read compulsively quickly. And I think that's because the writing was pretty basic. It wasn't bad by any means, but it felt like a middle grade writing, and therefore it was really fast to read. But the plot itself was very slow. I guess that's pretty much all I want to say on that. But then if we talk about writing, I would also say that I really did enjoy the format of it, because we got these snippets from her mother's journal and these paintings and drawings, and I really liked how that came back and what that meant, and how we kind of got all these clues to begin with and didn't even realize they were clues till later on. I really, really enjoyed that. Again, the writing didn't blow me away. I know that she can write really beautifully because I read Life of Adi LaRue, but I just think this one was okay for middle grade. Now let's talk about characters. So it's very small cast. We just have Olivia, her cousin Matthew, and two more adults. And in the beginning we have some of the girls from the school. And I kind of enjoy that. I like small cast of characters, but I think considering how little of how few characters there are, I really didn't understand some of the characters' origins. Like, the auntie and uncle that are not actually related to them. I was like, I don't understand why they're here. Like, I know he was hired to be there, but why is she there? How old are they? I just felt like I wasn't really connecting the dots on all this because it was just like maybe told to me once, but you know, I'm not really smart and I need information repeated. But I did really enjoy Olivia, and we are mainly stuck in Olivia's head, but I really liked seeing some disability representation because, like I said, she cannot speak, so she uses sign language, and I really liked how it portrayed how frustrating it is to not have people speak sign language and therefore feeling like can't make an impact in a sense, because it was really frustrating to be there with Olivia when someone would just turn around and not see her, or wouldn't refuse to read her writing, or just could ignore her because she couldn't make noise, she couldn't like call out or something. So at some point she like smashes her vase just to make a point, and I really enjoyed that. Obviously I am not disabled myself, so I cannot speak to this particular representation of this disability, but I did like seeing it in a very mainstream book by a very prolific writer. So I would really be interested to hear if you guys have any opinions, or check out, because I read couple of reviews, Goodreads review, but none of them touched upon it. So it'd be good to hear some own voices reviews on whether the disability rep was done well. But I think it is a really good step forward having it, and I think it was really interesting how it was handled in the book. And again, I really like seeing sign language and the frustration and the impact it has on the main character when people don't make an effort to learn how to use sign language. Themes. What themes do we have? Definitely family, a very big theme, kind of legacy, belonging, but I think the themes were a little maybe surface level. Well, they surface level? I don't know. I felt like the book was so slow moving. At the same time, the writing made it so compulsively readable. They kind of got through it, and maybe need a bit more padding, maybe a bit more information, maybe a little bit more backstories, a little bit conversations being had. Although conversations are being had, maybe just not literally. So I don't know. I did enjoy the execution of the themes of like especially family, belonging, again disability. Those were done pretty well, according at least I think so. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk to you about. I did enjoy the book. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I think it's a pretty decent read. Definitely, is it my favorite V Schwab? I don't know. Adi LaRue had more expectations to live up to, and it didn't, but the book itself was beautifully written and very interesting, whereas this one I had absolutely no expectations and ended up having a decent time. But I do think that it's an interesting problem of mismarketing, which I think sometimes books can really suffer from. So I'd be curious to see what you guys thought. If you read this book, please do let me know. I'd love to hear it. If you didn't read it, I don't know, did I convince you one way or another? Let me know what book you think was really mismarketed and could have found some great success if the right people found the book. Let me know. I hope Gallant does well. I'm sure it will. It's V Schwab. But thank you so much for watching. I have another review coming this month as a special treat, and I've already read the book, and oh my god. Oh my god, and that's gonna be a gash and a half. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, please do subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, if you could comment, like, and subscribe, I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!